While I was 9 years old, the family moved to Burnaby, BC. That's where I really got connected with lacrosse. In those days, lacrosse was really, really popular, and kids would walk around with a lacrosse stick then the way they walk around with a cell phone today. And so that gives you some idea on just how popular the game was. I played lacrosse for the junior team for 3 years, 1954, 55, and 56. And at that time, we were fortunate to win 2 Minto Cups. In that particular year, we lost the first game of the season. And then after that, I think we won 55 straight games, which carried us like through the 1954 season, through the 1955 season. And the game we lost was a Minto Cup game that we had to play in Winnipeg. At that time, the teams that traveled east and west, they always had to stop at Winnipeg to decide whether they continue to the west coast or the east coast, or whether Winnipeg would continue the trip. So we played in Winnipeg, and we lost the first game. And I say that was the first time we'd lost in 55 games, if my memory serves me right. And we won the second game, and we lost the third game. The whole junior team virtually moved up to the senior Vancouver lacrosse team, club rather, and from then, just progressively played until I retired in 1968. Every year we got a little bit better and a little bit better, and finally, we melded into a fairly strong team. And in 1960. I think that was about the year we reached our best season since the day we started. And as it turned out, I think that was the year that we lost to Nanaimo in the finals. And then that seemed to really kick off our success. The loss to them at that time had our team really connected for the next 3 or 4 years, and we ended up playing for the Mann Cup in 3 of the next 4 years. The same guys, if you look at pictures of the Mann Cup teams, they're virtually the same guys. Fred Usselman, Alec Carey, Bill Chisholm, Bob Perry. Actually, Stan Josephs was our goalie for a while before he moved over to New Westminster. And Alfie Brenner, of course, that I mentioned, and Charlie Boucher, and John Servey, of course. We all were about the same age, and we all kind of progressed at about the same pace. And we stuck together for all those years. As I said, at the beginning, we took our knocks, and at the end, we were giving the knocks, which changes your outlook on things. And most of those players that I named, they're actually in the Hall of Fame now. I think of the players I played with, the teammates, at last count, I think there were 16 in the Hall of Fame. I don't think the Brampton team was that strong, because I think we won 4 straight games, and none of the games were close. We used to have tougher series playing against New Westminster than we had playing against the East. And I should add at that time that the West dominated lacrosse. Actually, at one time, when lacrosse was in its heyday, it was almost impossible for a visiting team to win. If the Eastern team traveled west, they lost. The Western team traveled east, they lost. But in our era, all the Western teams were dominant. When I first started out, we shifted the lines around a little bit, and like this was in junior, and so I ended up, I feel I'm really a left-hander, but I ended up playing the whole year right-handed, and as it turned out, I was able to continue playing adequately on both sides, and my theory was simple, and that was that if you want to score goals, you have to have your stick on the goalie side, and if you're a right-hander playing on the left side, or on the right side, then the angles of shooting, of course, benefit the goalie, not the shooter. With the series 3-1 in their favor, they had brought the champagne into the dressing room to celebrate. And so when our guys saw what was going on, this really inspired us to say, well, you know, here's our chance to spoil a good party. So we went out and we won the game. So now the series is 3-2. And the sixth game came along. It was kind of a repeat of what happened in the fifth game. We got the arena, same station wagon was there, same guys carrying the boxes of champagne into the dressing room, ready to celebrate winning the Mann Cup. So again, we looked at each other and we said, you know, we can't let this happen. We've got to, you know, we got to be on our toes. We got to play our best game. We got to play the way we're capable of playing. So luckily enough, it was a close game. We ended up winning. Seventh game, same situation, the same people, the same station wagon, and I assume it's the same champagne. They kept bringing it back and forth to the game. And that game, we just dominated it. Like, it was the kind of outcome that we kind of felt that we should have had earlier in the series. It was an accomplishment. Like, everybody dug in deep, everybody put out what they had, and it was really something we were really proud of that we were able to accomplish, especially, again, winning in the East, because that was a tough situation. The franchise in Nanaimo was taken over by Coquitlam. So Coquitlam just had built a new arena, and so it turned out really well. We started with a team. Like, first of all, the problem, of course, was getting players, and none of the teams wanted to give up players because, you know, you're ending up breaking up the harmony that exists on teams. So we ended up with kind of a hodgepodge of individuals. And as it turned out, it was the same kind of thing. We weren't really a good team, but we weren't really a bad team either. My ambition was to be a coach. Like, lacrosse was in my blood. I didn't want to be in a situation where when I finished playing, I was done with the game, sort of thing. I wanted to keep involved, but I also wanted to keep involved in playing. I didn't want to give up playing, and I could see the writing on the wall in Vancouver that we had spectacular players there, like Bobby Marsh, Alec McKay, and you know, these were potential coaches for the team. And so I kind of saw that, you know, I'd be fourth or fifth in line if they ever decided to pick an ex-player to play to it. So when the opportunity came to Coquitlam, it was a big decision on my part. I had to decide to leave all the guys that I'd sweat blood with for all those years to start somewhere new. When I was in Coquitlam, I was coaching and playing at the same time because, as I said, I wanted to coach and I wanted to play, and the only way I could do it was to do both at the same time. So that worked out good for me personally. Nothing special. Sometimes I kind of regret not playing longer because I didn't leave because of injuries. You know, I just kind of left on my own accord, and I kind of felt that when I look back at things that, you know, I only played 12 years in that league, and I thought, well, maybe I could have lasted another year or two. And that was probably the only thing. Biggest regret, I think, though, is the fact that moving from Vancouver to Coquitlam. I look back, and even though it worked out well for me, deep in my mind, the loyalty factor kicks in, and you find that even though you enjoyed what you were doing, leaving all your teammates behind, and now they become the enemy, if you know what I mean, and that was hard. And so I always regretted maybe I should have stayed in Vancouver and just ran out my career there. But other than that, that was about it.